Learning how to win at sports betting for beginners can seem like an impossible task. After all, you could bet on players wearing boots to a game and they'd still play barefooted. But beyond that, as a beginner, you probably don't even know what's going on in a sportsbook. Well, I'm here to teach you everything you'll need for a sports bet. And at the end, I'll reveal some great tips that will guarantee you a win. This is not a drill.
This is not.
First of all, we'll look at how the sports betting market works. And the bottom line is that when you bet on the odds for an event, depending on the pre-calculated odds for that event, you will win a corresponding amount. Sports betting has differences, from casino gambling in the style of its odds, payouts, and betting style. However, they have one thing in common, and that's the fact that the house has an inbuilt advantage on each wager that you make. It's called the house edge, and just like a mortgage, it's quite difficult to overcome. The bookmaker calculates the odds such that when you make a bet, even if you win, they get a percentage of that bet. And you can easily calculate this using a formula of 1 divided by player A's odds plus 1 divided by player B's odds, all multiplied by 100. The result is likely to be over 100, and that extra amount on 100 is the amount they will get on that bet for every 100 units that you bet, win or lose. The house edge. An example is a tennis game between two players, where the odds for each player to win are 1.2 and 5.1. Using our formula above, the house will walk away with $2.9 for every $100 wagered on the event. Note that this formula is for an event with just 2 possible results and whose odds are represented in the decimal form. And that takes us to the types of betting lines that you can bet with. Besides the decimal or European odds, there are also the fractional or British odds and the American odds. The fractional and decimal odds are easy to understand. Whatever you want to bet on, you just have to multiply the amount you've decided on with the bookmaker's odds set for that event. So, if you wager $100 or pounds on 1.5 or half odds, for example, that means your profit will be $50. With American odds, however, it's complicated. And that's not a surprise, seeing as results on election day are also confusing. And we always need some guy on the news to explain to us what is actually going on. Unlike that practice, however, you don't need to watch this video every 4 years to truly grasp American odds. Firstly, the odds have 2 components, a plus or minus sign and a figure. A plus sign indicates that the team or player is the underdog, while the minus sign indicates the favorite for an event. When placing a bet, what this means is that if you wagered $100 on the Miami Marlins for the money line, that means that you'll get a profit of $118. On the flip side, you'd have to wager $128 on the Atlanta Braves to get a profit of $100. Great! Now we know how bookmakers use odds to their advantage, and we know the different kinds of betting lines that exist. What's left is to place a bet. And placing a bet is probably the easiest thing we'll talk about today. All you need to do is select a sports betting site, register, make a deposit, and claim any available bonus. And now, you're ready to bet on your favorite sport. And guess what? There's a link for you in the description that will take you to a great sportsbook. We've carefully selected these sportsbooks to check that they're safe and secure, licensed, have great customer support, great banking methods, and most importantly, great promotions and accumulator bonuses on parlays. Parlays are one of the 3 major types of bets you can place in sports betting. But before we talk about parlays, we have to talk about the money line. This is the type of bet that involves predicting the winner of an event. For instance, if the Bucks are playing against the Houston Rockets and you decide to wager on the Bucks, as you should, then you've just made a money line bet. The second type of bet you can place is an over or under bet. And here, you're trying to predict how much a team or player will win in a certain event. For instance, in a European Championship soccer game between Portugal and Germany, you could decide to wager on how many goals or even how many corner kicks each or both teams might have. If you bet on over 2.5 goals on each or both teams, then you can only win if 3 goals are scored. And if you bet on under 2.5 goals, then you can only win if a maximum of 2 goals is scored. As for parlays, they're just a mixture of different bets on one bet slip. You can make several money line and over or under bets from different games in one parlay. And you can even make both a money line and an over or under bet in a parlay. But to be fair, parlays are the most dangerous types of bets. If they do come off, however, they always have the biggest wins. And wins are what you really want when you wager. So before we call this a wrap, let's look at 5 tips to get you started. Number 1 is that you fully understand the sport that you're betting on. This is a no-brainer, since many markets or events will not make any sense if you don't know how the game works. And this is why I don't wager on extreme sports like boxing, MMA, and politics. Number 2 is that you get a healthy bankroll. And this is just as important as the first tip. What healthy means is that your bankroll is money that is not enough to let you wager for a good amount of time. And you know it is not going to make you bankrupt in case you end up not winning. But this brings us to number 3, which is that you should get a good betting strategy. There are many strategies on how you should bet that are very effective. In fact, arbitrage sports betting is a betting style where you literally cannot lose and is so effective that the only drawback is that casinos will kick you out if they suspect that you are using the strategy. Our 4th tip is that you listen to verified experts because they usually have great insight into game results. Not just experts of the game, but also sports betting experts who predict results. For example, when I first thought of arbitrage betting, I didn't know that it was already a thing, so I felt like I was the next evolutionary step in our species. However, I found out that there were already sports betting experts who have great tools that help with arbitrage betting on well-curated websites. And speaking of well-curated websites, getting a good sports betting site is our 5th tip for you. And it involves getting a sports book with good bonuses, security, competitive odds, various banking methods, and parlay accumulator bonuses, so that right off the bat, you'll have the odds in your favor. And that is where our sportsbook recommendations come into play. Simply click the link in the description and you'll have all these and more. And if you're interested in a video where we explain sports betting strategies like arbitrage betting, let us know in the comments below. Sports betting is exciting, and if there's a way to win all the time, then we should try it, right? However, you must always maintain a level of decency. It's important not to chase losses, and it's important to know when to stop even if you're winning. And if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you're always notified. Like this video, and I bet you'll share it with your friends who are new to sports betting. And before we end this video, I want to disclose that we might get compensated for the products mentioned in this video. This helps our team to continue to help you in your search for reputable and trustworthy online casinos for everyone to enjoy. And as always, we encourage you to gamble responsibly. Stay safe, and see you next time.